May I now request Mr. Shailesh Sawlani, General Manager, India West Uber, to share what they are doing for smart city ecosystem. A big round of applause.
Absolute pleasure being here and honor being here with our honorable leaders here. Today we are here to talk about what Uber does, and specifically on the topic of smart transportation, what it means in the context of smart cities as well. You know, as Sir Francis rightly pointed out, it can be really challenging to implement a smart city concept in older cities or cities that are mature and have grown. One of our only humble ideas and suggestions would be to see how we could complement existing infrastructure with a layer of technology. And that is exactly what Uber does. So Uber, for those who are new to the concept or the company or what we do, it is a simple app. It is a mobile app. And a mobile app that connects anyone who wants to go from point A to point B to connect them with a driver and a car. And all of this happens seamlessly through a mobile app. We started in 2009 when our co-founders, Mr. Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp, were at a conference in Paris. And what they found in Paris was it was so hard to simply get around. For anyone that's coming new or a tourist or does not know the city, it can be very intimidating and challenging to understand how to get around the city. And they just had a thought, a very radical thought, or maybe even a very simple thought, which is, what if I had to just push a button and I get a car? And that car can take me wherever I want to go in a city. So it started out with a very simple, very basic concept and an implementation. And there you see from the very early days in San Francisco, where we had about 10-15 cars on the road. And this was simply just a trial, a concept that was for Travis, Garrett, and some of their friends. Since then, in 6 years, we've come to 400 plus cities and 60 plus countries. One of the fastest growing companies in the world, in history. And all it took was a simple idea and a simple thought. What if I could just push a button and get a car and get around? So what is Uber about? What is the app about? So in a nutshell, all you need to do is open up the app, fire up the app, push a button, get a car. You get the driver's name, phone number, his details, car number plate. It tells you exactly how much you're going to pay from point A to point B. So you have all that information up front. You can pay by cash, or you can go completely cashless by credit card. You can share your feedback, tell us how you felt about the ride, about the driver, and we will ensure quality adherence and safety adherence. Your drivers are professionally licensed, go through background checks, and again, like, based on your feedback, we ensure that we are adhering to a certain quality standard that you come to expect. So I'll talk a little bit about our journey in India, and although we'll talk a little bit about Bangalore, you know, we've had tremendous success even in cities like Hyderabad through support of the government there. So this will be a conversation or just an example about what we've, or how large or significant this is in Bangalore. But that applies to the cities that we are also operational, 27 cities in India, but hopefully in cities to come in the state of Goa as well. So, you know, the bigger the problem, the bigger the transportation problem, we see it as the bigger opportunity for us. And a bigger opportunity, or a massive opportunity, to improve the way that people are able to, and the convenience with which people are able to get around. And that's why we're so excited about the opportunity in India. All of us are sons and daughters of India, you know, born and brought up here. We feel very passionately about making changes and making improvements to the daily lives of people here, the citizens here, and the way they experience their city and move around in their city. So we started off in 2013, mid-2013, started off with Bangalore in August, and then you see launches in Hyderabad, Delhi, Chennai, Mumbai, and then since after those 5 cities, we are now in 27 cities. One thing that we've noticed is that every city that we launch in tends to grow faster than the city before it. So, for example, New York City, when it launched after San Francisco, actually grew much faster than San Francisco did in the same life cycle, on the same age. And that is a concept that holds true even in India. It happened in all subsequent cities. Paris grew faster than New York, London grew faster than Paris, Singapore grew faster than London. And there you see Bangalore, one of the fastest growing cities for Uber all over the world. Because what tends to happen is as we go from one city to the other, there's so much awareness about Uber, and people from all over the world have this app installed. So when tourists come to Goa, they open up the Uber app to see if Uber is here. And that's what we want to get to. We want to be in every city where people can travel all over the world and experience the same product and the same service everywhere they go. These are some of the people that have shared their experience traveling with Uber. So another concept that that goes hand in hand with smart transport is how do we plan for it? How do we as a company, as a technology company, and as a tech enabler, as a mobile app service provider, how do we work with governments and with cities to plan out urban transport better? So what you have here is a snapshot of some of our internal tools that we use to understand where people are actually looking for transport. Which are the poorly served areas by public transport, or you can say even options of a taxi or auto that is not significantly present there. Those areas just tend to light up and tend to show us that there is a massive need for Uber in those areas. And using these internal tools and working with urban planners, we are able to ensure a better quality service and a reliable service for people. What we've also done is we've adapted to the local situation. So today you have a product called Uber Go, which is extremely affordable for the masses. It becomes even more possible and available for masses as we introduced cash payment, which is an India first thing that we did for Uber. And now that concept is going all over the world. So we're an international company, but we're equally local, and we're innovating locally as well. And then we're exporting those concepts and that knowledge even for our global cities. So we're building products for India, but at the same time we're leveraging all the experience that we have working across 400 cities in the world. There you see again the diversity and the range and the expansion of spots or places where people are being dropped off in the city, in Bangalore. And it tells you a bit about the coverage that we have and how quickly we can grow from the center of the city and really expand it outward and make it a reliable option for everyone in the city. That's just an illustration of, you see, I spoke about how people tend to install the app, and then when they travel all over the world, they tend to open up the same app and experience the service in a different city. And that tells you a little bit about Bangalore's customers, where all they tend to go and use Uber. It also tells you about people from all over the world that come to Bangalore and tend to use Uber. And again, in an extremely tourist heavy destination and place like Goa, that will be an extremely interesting opportunity and a way for us to provide reliable and safe transport for tourists coming in. going back to my point earlier on working with cities and urban planners to to provide better transport and sharing data with them. This is a sample of the Boston data sharing agreement that we had, and that's just a sample of all the data that we collect for every single ride. So everything from where a customer was picked up, where he was dropped off, what was the route that he took, it's everything that is stored in our digital records. And so that really becomes interesting as urban planners and cities want to, and government authorities want to understand or trace things back to an incident. You know that they can work with us and rely on us to have that information and share it with them. Uber also complements public infrastructure. So whether you have a bus stop or you have a train station or you have an airport, what Uber tends to do really well is function in a way where you get off at one point and it serves as an excellent last mile connectivity to the insides of the city or to places where this public transport does not tend to go. And this is a sample from Delhi, shows you how far and wide Uber services can take you, even though the public infrastructure tends to remain concentrated to the center in some cases. Another concept that we have introduced, and this is a feature and an innovation that was initiated by Uber globally. It's now in more than 25 cities in the world in Uber. Is a concept called Uber Pool, where the cost that you can, the price that you pay to get around from point A to B can literally be half if you had to share that ride with someone else. We spoke a little bit about congestion, about pollution, and Uber Pool is an excellent solution, and it is a solution for the future which can actually move more people for fewer number of cars. So getting more people in fewer cars is what our vision is, and the vision for Uber Pool is. On the top half of the image you see the present scenario. You see some cars with 2 people, some cars with 1 people. What if the future is getting 4 cars in every, 4 people in every car? That actually enables you to reduce the number of cars on the road and to deter people from buying their own cars and actually traveling by something like this, which becomes more of a shared infrastructure and a shared network. And that's the future that we're trying to build. And it's a viable option, because if you see the number of miles an average car tends to travel, but the fixed cost actually starts, you're paying that fixed cost regardless of how many miles you travel. But Uber Pool, you're only paying for when you travel, and the cost per ride is way, way cheaper if you factor in car ownership. And that's why people all over the world are either deferring their choice to buy a new car or a second car, or in some mature cities, they're even selling off their cars to rely on this public infrastructure. Very relevant theme is, and important for India as a theme, and as people come in and India becomes India has been a global destination now, but to keep it that way, safety is important, and Uber and using the Uber technology and platform, safety is something that we can enable as well. So background checks on drivers, screening on their backgrounds, insurance for every car that comes onto our platform, getting the car to come exactly where you are so that you're not standing on the road and exposed to an incident, driver's information showing up in your application, his number showing up, his vehicle details showing up in your application. All of that is a standard of the Uber service. You can also share your details with your relative or someone you care about and tell them that you're on a trip and they should be tracking you. And they can track live on the map wherever you are. You can also make an emergency call to the police or to our emergency response system in case something goes wrong on the ride. And sure enough, you'll receive a call from our incident response team and emergency team within a matter of minutes. Another important theme and something that Uber enables is jobs. We've signed an MOU in various states, most recently in Maharashtra, to create 75,000 jobs. And it's a reality. This is not something that's going to take very many years to materialize. This is happening every day. And in the last 2 years that we've been in Maharashtra, for example, or in Mumbai, we've created 10,000 jobs and financed 10,000 vehicles through our network of financiers and car companies. And this is just an example of some of the very, very proud people who have gone from becoming drivers for someone else to becoming their own entrepreneurs by leveraging our network of financiers and car manufacturers to become their own business owners. And so wherever Uber goes, we tend to create those jobs and to provide viable employment opportunities to the local people. Another very relevant theme is drunken driving incidents. This is again another goal and another thing that we want to influence. And so we've worked with the traffic police in very many places in cities, including in Bangalore and in Mumbai, to deter drunken driving. And we have data to prove that it works. So in every city that Uber tends to go to, drunken driving incidents tend to reduce. Because we are providing a service that is always available, it's there 24/7, it's safe, it's reliable, it's there wherever you are, you push a button, you get a car. You see the examples there. So that is a map of, or a chart of when the trips tend to take place, in what time of the day. And you see when bars shut at midnight, the usage of Uber actually spikes, which means people, when they're inebriated, they tend to call an Uber, and they used to probably drive or rely on something else. But they're not driving anymore because there's a much reliable service that is available and there's no risk of them going in an accident. That is another example on New Year's Eve when people really chose Uber. Usage really spiked after bars shut or parties were over. And so that is another value that we add to cities and add in terms of safety for the people in the city. What all of this relies on, though, is some smart regulation. And this is when we look to our leaders to help us be a part of cities and function harmoniously and in a way where we can add value to the citizens and to the government of every city. And we have some good examples in Calcutta, Bidhannagar regulations that were aggregator specific, and lots of positive discussions happening all over the country in every state to come out with regulations that are specific to our sector, to our business, and will finally help us achieve these objectives. Planning the city, making it safe, doing partnerships that are public, private in nature, enabling mobility for the future, not for now, not for the past, but for the next 10 years, for the next 15, or for the next 100 years. And creating jobs in the process. But like I said, all this happens only with regulations that will be specific to us and that will let our business thrive. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Shailesh, for sharing the best and